Hello, everyone. My name's Artemis Black, and we are looking at the bottom five roster fumbles for third season. The five teams that I think got moved down the roster, moved down the list, the tiers, but in an uninteresting way. It's not always anything wrong with moving the tiers around. Every season, some teams are better, some teams are worse. That's okay. That means some people's favorite teams get better or worse. Some people's worst teams get better, and you might be interested in playing them. But these five teams, I think, got moved down and in uninteresting ways. They weren't made more fun to play or anything. People play the worst teams, right? People play goblins for entirety of second season, worst team in the game. People play them all the time. Nothing wrong with that because they find them fun. These teams weren't given more fun. They were just made worse. Or, in the case of number five, forgotten about. Halflings. To me, the only original team from the rule book rather than the teams that came out from the Teams of Legend PDF that just weren't changed. They were just left alone. No new skills, no change to positionals. They were just seemingly forgotten about. The reason they're on this list, not just that, but because of the way they changed star access, halflings now have no access really to human stars. No Griff, no Zug, no Carla. And on top of no access to human stars, they have to choose between classic halfling stars. They have to choose between Thimblecup and Woodland League, and Deeproot is on one, and Rumbelow is on the other. So you can't change up between Deeproot and Rumbelow depending on who your opponent is. You only have access to one from the moment you make your team. I don't know why someone just doesn't like halflings at Games Workshop. All of the other stunty teams got changes. Halflings just left behind like they just accidentally dropped off the bottom of the list. I wrote at the bottom there, no devious access. Yeah, because Dirty Player was never a primary for them, so it's not a big deal. But some of the other stunty teams got primary Dirty Player access, which is a huge buff, and Halflings did not. They got nothing. They got nothing. Literally forgotten. To me, in NAF style now, this is the worst team. Because in Leagues and Ladder, I think it's Gnomes. Because of the dodge being 30k thing. But in NAF style, that's fixed by just them being allowed to have the elite skills, right? Halflings have nothing. They're just worse now. They're, to me, the worst team in Blood Bowl, which is very sad because it's my stunty team of choice. So I guess I'll have to find a new one. Who's next? This one will probably cause a few arguments. The amount of people who think that Fumblerooskie is going to be amazing. I can kind of get the idea of why it's fun, but I just don't think people have had the second sentence thought. You get that a lot, right? You stop thinking after the first sentence. That's not an insult to people. It's just a human thing. You think about the cool ways you can use Fumblerooskie, and then you just stop thinking. In reality, Fumblerooskie is a ball movement skill. It allows you to move the ball vast distances. Essentially, if you have like 5-6 linos, they can all pick it up, put it down, and move the ball wherever you need. That's exactly what Pro Elves or Elven Union could do before in a better way. When they had 4 catchers with catch and nerves of steel, you could already do a pass to one and a handoff to another and move quite literally the entire length of the pitch on a few twos with built-in rerolls from the pass skill, from the catch skill. Doesn't matter if you were in tackle zones. You could already move the entire length of the pitch. How does Fumblerooskie make that better? No one's got any built-ins for pickups. So it's just a worse version of what you used to have. Also, you're not giving your linos any skills in third season because of the way MVP rules are. The catchers, the blitzers, the thrower, one lino is going to be in that MVP all the time. So it's not like you're going to have loads of linos with dodge. And it's an elite skill anyway. So it's just useless. And yeah, okay, you just got it at the start, but you paid for it. And even that 5k makes a difference because Elven Union Linos were cheap, which allowed Elven Union to have more players. They were the ones that could start with bench or could start with the extra catcher. And in NAF style, they had more bench. The other and more expensive elves had nothing in NAF style. So they've got a worse start now. They can only afford one catcher. And they can only buff up to 2 catchers because of the roster changes. And to make up for that, I've wrote no buffs to positionals. That's because the things that they got not really buffs. Like, you can tell the idea behind it. So they've given the catchers diving catch, which also is slightly better in these rules. And they've given the thrower Hail Mary pass. And you know the idea, right? It's run the catchers up, lob a pass, dive and catch it. Like, but that idea has been around forever. And it used to be better when Hail Mary pass wasn't crap. Like, it's total rubbish now. You're not going to throw a Hail Mary pass. So, like, go and read Hail Mary pass. It's rubbish. No one's using it. So, yeah, sorry. Pro Elves are worse. Can they be fixed in NAF style? Of course they can. They were already one of the worst elf teams, and they had the second best win rate in second season because NAF tiered them so low that the combination of them being cheap and having all the extra skills meant that they had bench and skilled players and regularly a stack. And that buffed them just through NAF rules and NAF tiering. But in leagues and ladders, which is where I play the most, they're just worse. They just have a worse start and they don't get better because they've lost catchers. Sorry. Pro Elves, no. Number 3, we have humans. Humans are weird now. They are no longer the third fastest team in the game. They've lost their speed by losing 2 blitzers and 2 catchers. They've lost a lot of strength access by losing those 2 blitzers, so they can't, have as many guard on the pitch as they used to. And worse than that, obviously, you still want one of those blitzers to get mighty blow tackle for the most part. So what they've lost is the 2 that take guard. So you have to have the Ogre. The Ogre has to have guard. One of your blitzers has guard. Who else is having guard on the team? You have 2 guard. So there used to be a hybrid team, right? You could play Bash because you had 5 guard access, only which you'd take 4 of. Tiering sometimes give you a secondary, so you'd have a Lino with guard as well. So you'd have a lot of guard access. So if you spun into an agility team, a strength 3 team, you could fight them. You could fight them as Bash. But if you spun into a big, strong team, or if you spun into Dwarves or something with the guard spam, you would switch and you would be the fast team. You would utilize the catchers and blitzers having their speed, and you would switch and run around a lot. You can't do either of those anymore. You don't have the speed and you don't have the guard access. I don't even know what humans are. What's the opposite of hybrid? Having no rules, no roles at all? Like, it's bizarre. And in the middle of this, annoyingly, catchers have become potentially one of the best positionals in the game due to their stat line. Movement 8 with strength 3 is limited across the Blood Bowl rosters. So potentially they could be one of the best, but not in this team. Old World Alliance get one. That's where to go to utilize that catcher. These get 2, but the rest of the team is so nerfed that you just don't know what to do with it. No primary devious access anyway, so they can't foul with their cheap linos or with the flings. They've become, to me, in NAF style, a star player vehicle. That doesn't. So whenever I'm talking about these teams being worse, I'm not specifically talking about NAF style. If you're only into NAF style, if you're only into going to tournaments every month, very different, right? Because most of the problems can be fixed by NAF tiering and giving you extra skills, putting you in a tier with star access or secondaries or stacks. All of that can be sort of moved around. It'll take a while for it to get there, but it could be fixed. So at the end of each of these, I'll talk about, how that could be fixed. And humans, because they're cheap now, because they don't have to buy the 2 blitzers, they don't have to buy the 2 catchers, and the rest of their roster is cheap, are a star vehicle. They can bring Griff. They can bring Scrog. They're just a star vehicle to me, which means they have to be tiered down where they're allowed to have stars. And if they're not, I don't know what they do other than just no one takes them. It used to be that they would be the stack vehicle, right? People would take humans because they would normally be tiered in the middle. They would be allowed one stack, which was the MBT, and they would have then enough skills to spread around to have a bunch of guard, blodge catcher, leader thrower for extra. They had enough stuff. They had everything. They just don't anymore. I guess I should talk at the end about the fact that Throw Teammate is buffed, and this team has access to an Ogre and a Halfling. But they did have their thrower nerfed, possibly for that reason, because it kind of is weird that their thrower got nerfed. So I'm thinking that someone noticed that this team could do an incredible Throw Teammate with a pass-in 2+ thrower, and then the Ogre into the Halfling toss. So the human thrower has now been nerfed to 3+, just to add another 1 in 9 instead of 1 in 36 in there somewhere. But yeah, real bad. I don't think they've got more interesting at all. With the only real change is like they got tackle on the blitzer, and the catcher got strength 3. That doesn't really change. They can't fit the roles. I've seen people talking about catchers becoming new blitzers, but they're armor 7. Blitzers can get hit. They can take a hit. If you have to hide the catcher all the time, it's the same role, right? It's the same role they used to have. Catchers could blitz before with assists or dauntless or whatever. They would take wrestle, and because there was multiple catchers, they could have assists. But no, they're just worse. They're just straight up worse. Number 2, we have Rats, the old Skaven. Nothing they're given is even going to come close to making up for losing 2 of the best positionals in Blood Bowl. Gutter Runners. Gutter Runners, sorry, I'm coughing in the background. You can hear from my voice that the lung infection's still there. Gutter Runners, 2 of the best positionals in Blood Bowl. Like, simple as. You cannot lose 2 Gutter Runners and then just get a couple skills. Like, it's not good enough. Gutter Runners had multiple roles to fill. That's the problem, and now you only have 2. You would normally make, to me, a 1-turning gutter, 2 sacker gutters, and then a utility gutter, like a ball carrier or whatever, with blodge step and things. And the reason you had 2 sackers, because they needed to be in the right place, and they're the ones that get hit back. When they go in for the ball, if it fails, they can hurt themselves, or they can get punched back and fouled. So you regularly lost one. It would be MNG'd, it would be off the pitch from a KO. So you needed a backup. You have backups of nothing now. You still need the 1-turn. Because your team is worse, the 1-turn is more important to you than ever. So you still need a 1-turning gutter, which means you have 1 sacking gutter. And who's recovering? The 1-turner? That means the 1-turner puts himself at risk. Everything is more risk now. You just don't have enough gutter runners to fill the roles. So they've lost the identity of what it was to be Rats. And they gave the blitzers plus movement and strip ball to be like, hey, look, we've filled one of the roles that the gutters were taking. But they haven't, because they don't have dodge. They don't have agility 2+. They don't have access to those things without massive amounts of SPP and massively increasing their value in the game. And if you do manage to make one of those very expensive ball sackers out of a Storm Vermin, out of a Skaven Blitzer, who's taking the role that the Skaven Blitzer used to have? One of those was support with guard for the 1-turn, or just in general. One of those was your actual Blitzer with Mighty Blow and Tackle. Like, if you're turning them into the sackers, who are you turning into Blitzers? Line Rats? With no strength access? Like, you just lost roles and got nothing to replace. So I don't know, again, what you do with Skaven. Nothing, really. Like, just not play them. Play Underworld. The buffs that the team have got are basically mostly useless. You do have primary devious access, so you still can have dirty player, but you already could, so it's not really a buff. I don't know. And the FNAF style again, maybe like humans because they're cheap without the two gutters. Star player access, maybe you can squeeze Skitter in there to replace one of the gutters. I don't know what you do with them. That's the problem with the humans, the rats, and the number one team. I don't know what you do with them. Like, and you might say, oh, well, I know what to do with them. It's like, look, this isn't like I'm the big I am, right? But I'm a world level player and I talk with other world level players, and I'm not the only one who doesn't know what to do with these. The player with the best rat record and the best in general Blood Bowl record on tabletop in the world is a rat main, and they do not know what to do with the new roster other than not play it. That says everything to me. Like, and it's not like they just glanced at it. It's their main team. They just don't know what to do with it. And talking of mains, this was mine. I would consider myself a dwarf main. I've played the most games with dwarves. It is my favorite team, or was my favorite team to play. For all of the reasons that people forget about when they hate dwarves. Let's be honest, people hate dwarves, right? It's become a meme. They shouldn't. Orcs are worse for everything that they hate dwarves for. But it's the meme to hate dwarves. And I don't know what to do with dwarves. Purple Chest, one of the best dwarf players in the world, doesn't know what to do with dwarves. Jimmy Fantastic, one of the best dwarf players in the world, doesn't know what to do with dwarves. We're just staring at it like, I don't know how to play this team. Like, it kind of, you can kind of get what they're trying to want you to do with this silly devious access, but you can't actually do anything with that access. What are you going to have? A bunch of dirty player, expensive dwarves? No bench because you're expensive? There's no star player access like the rats and the humans because dwarf star players suck and you're too expensive anyway. So let's talk about the main things. The lost strength access. Dwarves were a strength 3 team. They lived and died on their guards. Yeah, okay, it's really annoying to face guard spam, but that's all dwarves had. People forget that dwarves can't do much else. They're so slow, they can't dodge. That's all they had was the wall. And the positioning. Like, positioning was so important with dwarves. Because they're so slow, they can't react. They were always needing to be proactive. You needed to guess where your opponent wanted to go and get dwarves ready to go there in advance, because you just can't do the dodges. You can't reach most of the time. You have to massively care about any kind of breakaway play and cover it as best you can. They were that's why I liked them. They were very, very proactive and forced you to read the board incredibly well. And in the fight, to allow that, it was guard spam, right? Everyone had guard. It turned your strength 3 team into something better. Without everyone having guard, you're just a strength 3 team. How do you fight strength 4 teams? It doesn't matter that you've given them defensive. The strength 4 teams don't need guard to hit a strength 3 player. Defensive is irrelevant when a big gun is punching a longbeard. Who cares? 2 longbeards standing next to each other, you just walk up and tag one and punch the other. Because they don't have guard and you don't need guard. Defensive is next to useless. The blitzers were given anti-elf skills, tackle and diving tackle, but then they were agility nerfed, so they can't get to where they need to be. If you tag them off, it's a much harder dodge. So they've got nothing. Slayers now need to take guard to try and make use of the defensive. That means that not only is your Slayer going to have to be in base-to-base contact, which is the thing you never wanted, but if they're taking guard, it's harder to also make them killers because they need more skills. Spending one on guard means that it's slower to get the mighty blow, to tackle if they want it. Juggernaut for the surfing, stand firm so they don't get counter-surfed. All of those skills are now one down the list because Slayers are one of your few guard access. Defensive only works if you have guard. And the main problem is Dwarves were never good. Like, they didn't need nerfing. It's fine that they got nerfed. I don't care if Dwarves are worse. Just that they can still have something to play. But they were never good. They were always tiered in, like, tier 1 in NAF style and things because tackle spam made it very annoying to certain teams. And if Dwarves were tiered well enough that multiple people might bring them, it would put off other coaches from bringing dodge-based teams. And therefore, the whole tournament suddenly becomes a bash fest. And it's boring. So I get it. I get why Dwarves were always, like, you know, discouraged. But you took away the tackle spam. There was no need to take away the tackle spam and the guard access. That is crazy. So I've got no idea what to do with these teams. The role that Games Workshop seem to want you to do with the devious access is to be fouling Dwarves. Okay. So I take Dirty Player and I'm 90k. Dwarves don't really come with bench. Yeah, okay, we get half-price bribes, but you've increased the cost of blitzers. You've increased the cost of the rerolls. You haven't made the team cheap to be able to afford those things. So you can't... I don't understand how you foul with this team. How you make use of the devious access. They're going to need like a shit ton more money than other people. Everything got more... The only things that changed in price got more expensive. And you already were struggling badly if you wanted to play a fun Death Roller build. And now it's worse. Because rerolls and blitzers cost those extra 10Ks. You couldn't fit in stuff before. The Death Roller itself, still a secret weapon. Sneaky Git was nerfed, so nothing helps it stay on the pitch, even if they get access to a secondary. So you have to use the bribes, which means you need the extra gold. Yeah, I'm not getting Dwarves. I just think that you can play all of these teams, right? Nothing, as I said at the start, people play Goblins, the worst team in Blood Bowl. This is, when you say like Dwarves are dead now, that doesn't mean actually dead. People should understand hyperbole and context, right? Obviously, people will play them. It's just when I say dead, I mean competitively. Competitive players can't play this team because the competitive players like to win. You can play this team if you don't mind losing more than you used to. That's okay. As I said, many thousands of Goblin coaches lose most of their games and they still play Goblins. They're dead competitively. Dwarves are dead competitively. Rats are dead competitively. Humans might survive a bit with the star player access if they're given it. But for me, because I mostly play League and Ladder, yeah, the Dwarves are just toast. I'm not playing Dwarves for third season. I have no reason to, unless someone comes up with some amazing new strat or some erratas change something. Dwarves for me, I'll see you in 2030, I guess, which is a shame because, like I said, my favorite team to play. I'll be playing Chaos Dwarves instead of them when I fancy a stubby little dude running around the pitch very slowly. Yeah, that's it for them. And that's it for us. You can find us on Twitch, still covering the World Championships, which is just the world's most never-ending competition. We have come to the final weekend for that, should you be interested. The World Championship quarterfinals, semi-finals, and grand finals are on the coming weekend, starting the 7th, and we'll be covering all of those. If you are just a YouTuber, don't forget to press all of the buttons and bells, and we will see you in the next video.